Welcome to the Foyne Jones Show Season 5. In Episode 6, I'm joined by Bart Murphy of HSS. When the producer says, I'm going to write you and play you your theme tune music, you know you've made it, Bart.
Yeah,
you know
you're
you
on
made
it. You've got it sorted.
All right, so here we go again. In the studio today, we are recording Episode 6 of Season 5 of my podcast, The Foyne Jones Show. And we're going back to business. Charlie, the producer's here, but more importantly, we've got a gentleman who's braved the traffic. He's braved the road closures. He's down in Sussex by the sea. He's a podcast veteran. He's been on the Foyne Jones Show last summer when he was one of the leaders in our industry who stood up. Yes, you did, sir. You stood up and you was counted. You made a difference when people needed it. Bart Murphy, welcome to the show. Good to see you again, mate.
Good to see you, mate. Good to see you. Good to be here.
You're all excited, Bart, aren't you?
I'm well charged up. I'm loving it.
I'll share this with Charlie. When he was in like a horrific traffic jam, should have been here at 9:30, should have been here at 10, should have been here at 10:30. He still made it pretty much on time. I was like, mate, it's okay. If you can turn around, we can rebook it. He's like, no. I
will be there.
I will be there, and we will record this episode because we've got a lot to catch up on. So, Bart, you're well known within my industry, and you've moved into a new position this year, and we're gonna tell that story and where that is now. But I think I'd like to start the podcast off really just with saying thank you, because it's a word or two words that aren't used enough really. And I think from my perspective, we got to know each other during possibly the worst time in living memory, during the pandemic properly. And, we spoke about job seeking, we spoke about supporting our community, supporting our industry, and we'll go into what you achieved. But from my perspective, you've been supportive of me, so Peter Jones, in terms of what I do socially, what I do with my content. You've been amazingly supportive of the Foyne Jones Recruitment Group in terms of our approach to recruitment and how we can do things with an element of personality and of an approach which stands us out. And then last summer, I had a crazy idea to start a digital storytelling and virtual showroom tour and video marketing business because I wasn't doing much recruitment. You were really supportive of that, and Scott and I were talking in episode 2 that your projects, were some of the first projects we collaborated on together. So thank you, sir. How was all that experience? You're still here?
I'm still here. I survived it all. Yeah, Scott was amazing, actually. I listened to episode 2 with Scott, and it was great to sort of revisit it all because straight away, as you said, we jumped on that sort of early last year. And I think even still, it's more relevant than ever. People changed what they do, how they do things. So I think what Scott's doing is great, and you're working with him on that. So we loved all of that. That worked really well when I was at Moran's, and they got a lot of value out of all of those sort of showroom tours and everything like that. And it's still going strong now, and I'm sure people are still using it more than ever. All the charity stuff was great. Again, it's sort of scary times again. It's sort of COVID numbers on the rise again. And, that was something we just sort of jumped in the early days. We talked about it when we met last time with the podcast and just sort of getting all that kit out to the frontline workers. And, that was something I was really passionate about, to be fair.
And that effort was above and beyond. It was above and beyond because you showed people what you were doing and you made a huge difference. And I think it's easy to do nothing. It's easy to be seen to be trying to do something, and people do want to help. But I went through this myself, and I stood up and said, right, I am going to support people, and I'm not going to do it for financial gain. I'm going to help people that have lost their job. I'm going to help my community and the people I'm connected with in ways that I can. And there was a lot of reward there, and we did, and I spoke about this in almost every podcast last year, but, we saw during those times, Bart, we saw the best in humanity, and we saw the worst in humanity. So, what I'm hoping, because we are dealing with the new variant now, and it is, there are new changes being brought into play. I'm trying to get my booster, but when I logged on last week, I wasn't 5 months clear.
Right. I thought you were going to say you're under 40, Peter.
No, mate. I'm not looking too bad, Bart.
You're looking fairly well, to be fair.
I'm not looking too bad, mate. I mean, look, I thought I'd wear the outfit today, like for the benefit of the people. It's only the watch is different. I just need the football. I'm a Charlie, I'm off there then. So I look like the sign for the episode, but no, I'm 47 when the clock turns next year. So I'm getting old. My kids are, I don't have kids, I've got adults. They're 23 and 19, and they're finding their way in the big wide world. And that leads me back to you, but how's your family? How's it all going?
Good. Yeah, 4 kids now, Peter. We had number 4. We're flying along with 3. We thought we were doing fine. Lockdown came along, and we thought, actually, you know what, this is easy. We can chuck another one in the mix. So she came along last Christmas, 27th of December. She's about to be 1.
What's her name?
Isabella. So she's baby number 4.
I presume Isabella and her siblings are big listeners of the show.
Big listeners, yeah. They'll definitely be all over this, to be fair. Actually, funnily enough, when we were doing all the charity work and there was a few sort of local newspapers and ads and stuff, the kids actually find it fascinating that we're on Google. So they Google our name and there's pictures of them on Google where there's been stuff in magazines and newspapers and stuff for all the charity work. So they absolutely love that. So they'll be buzzing about this, Peter. They'll be definitely listening.
Well, they won't just be able to listen; they can watch as well, mate.
Because
Charlie's setting up the new Foyne Jones show channel. So, hello, what's all 4's name?
Right, we've got Florence, who's like the oldest.
Florence,
Dominic.
Enjoy the show. Daddy's on the telly.
Yeah, Dominic, number 2.
Florence,
Matilda,
Dominic.
Yeah, Matilda or Tilly, as she likes, and then Isabella.
So just so we got that right, we've got 4 Murphy children.
Yeah.
3 of them are girls.
3
One
girls.
of them's a boy.
We're completely outnumbered.
Good luck to the 2 of you.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying, mate.
Yeah. Don't worry, he does his worst on the 3 girls. He keeps them on their toes all the time.
Still playing football and rugby?
Still play. He's not so much rugby anymore, but football. But I coach the girls' team now, so I do the under 9s, under 10s actually now, girls, and I've been roped in to do the under 8 boys. So Saturdays and Sundays busier than ever. Out in the mornings, football, but absolutely love it. We've got some cracking kids out there. It's great for the girls to be playing. They're playing the London Girls League, so that's brilliant to get girls football going strong. So we've got 14 amazing 10-year-olds who are out every Saturday playing matches all around London. So that's great. And then I do the boys as well, normal boys league.
It amazes me, Bart, how many people from our industry are involved in sports coaching in some way. I've been on that journey. I mean, I'm proud to say I've retired the whistle, but people know I coach for Fulham in the development centres in Lily Rec, and we had 11 teams playing in the Hammersmith and Fulham leagues, and there was Fulham Association there. I've coached in Spain, and sort of from my perspective, it was just a relax, and you make a difference. And when you see the changes you can make and how they bond and how they gel and how they grow, you take a lot of pride of it. I mean, right now, Foyne Jones are sponsoring Michael Class, #different class for the listeners. Michael's career started at Fulham, and he's one of the players that was at Fulham. He got let go from Fulham at 18. He went to QPR. He didn't break into the first team at QPR. He went to Southend. He did make a few appearances on loan to Bromley. Change of management, back at Southend, let go in the summer. Turns up playing for my local non-league team, Lewis. I can't not sponsor the lad. I've known him since he's 4 years old. So we've been going to watch him. And I always like local football. I still got Fulham, of course. I've got my season tickets. I go home and away. But when we can support local teams, it's fantastic. And you mentioned women's football. Shout out to Lewis Football Club, because what they're doing there, with the equal pay between the men's and the women's team, there is no better example of what women's sport can achieve. They're fantastic for it, and that's the role models you want, isn't it? Yeah,
we're really lucky. Again, we've got a cracking club near us, Wildstone. The main team are in a national league, but like that, they've got, I think, 27.
They play Lewis, Wildstone.
Oh, did they? Yeah. So they've got about 27 youth teams, but they're cracking. I mean, the girls' team in my daughter's age didn't exist when she was playing. She was playing with the boys, and they literally said, "Look, get your friends down here. We'll put a girls' team together," and they followed it through, and then we got roped in to do it, and it's been great ever since. She's been doing it about 2.5 years now.
But you don't get roped in begrudgingly. You kind of tie yourself up.
They want some willing people to sort of step up and run the club, run the teams.
Does the Wildstone Raider still hang out there?
There is, yeah. He's definitely making an appearance.
Do you want some? I'll give it to you.
Yeah, definitely.
Is he still about?
Yeah, he's still about.
He was doing like Christmas parties, and he turned up on. But you could hire him to come on stag do's and stuff, couldn't you?
I've seen him a few times, and he's definitely around, and he's doing quite a lot. I see he does a a link came out the other day on YouTube of he was doing something there.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that famous clip, which you know is probably not appropriate for everyone, but that famous clip was when Wildston were playing the local teams here. They were playing Whitehawk.
Okay,
You know,
yeah,
and
yeah,
Whitehawk just 5 or 10 minutes, Charlie. 10 minutes that way. So I mean, that's taking the world of football from grassroots boys and girls to the non-leagues, and naturally, I've got a bit of Fulham Football Club in there because I can't.
You've
not
got to drop that in.
You know that. You've seen where we are in the league this season.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, comfortable top. We're dangerously becoming a team that's far too good for the Championship and not quite good enough to stay into the Premier League. So that's something we've got to work on. Big game Friday because we play our old Gaffers team, Scott Parker's Bournemouth, on Friday night, live on the telly. I'll be at Craven Cottage and we're clear of them. We haven't played them before, so we could go a few more points clear if we get the result. But worryingly, you know, Fulham fans are complaining, Bart, because we've not won our last 2 games. We've only drawn them.
Okay, yeah. Well,
how dare
no
we?
losses.
How
yeah,
dare we
exactly
be top of the league and drew 2 games on the bounce?
Exactly. Well, hopefully you can turn it around on Friday.
Oh, mate, we're doing well. But let's go back to what you achieved last summer, because what you achieved last summer with your charity work, it's got you a lot of recognition, hasn't it, and some awards. I mean, you know, it is about you this episode. So let's talk about the recognition you got.
Yeah, it was. Listen, I mean, the industry have been amazing with that, to be fair. I mean, obviously, that's not why we did it at all. You know, we were just sitting there back in March last year wanting to make a difference. It went to whole new heights. We weren't expecting it to go anywhere near. Initially, I was scrapping around trying to get a few boxes of masks for sort of local hospitals. We ended up with 20,000 items out to all hospitals all across London, which was phenomenal. So we're happy with that. But loads of sort of newspapers, magazines jumped on the back of it. BMF have been amazing at sort of promoting that story and really pushing it out. And back in the summer, I was sitting there at the BMN Awards, just sort of, you know, for once, just going, not hosting a table, not having to really do work, just sort of popped along, enjoying myself and a couple of colleagues, and just sort of sitting there. And I was listening to one of the awards. I thought, that sounds really familiar. I had no idea at all. And they were talking about BMF Ambassador of the Year and sort of running through it all. And then lo and behold, I thought, this is starting to sound scary familiar to what I've done. And I'm looking around the table. They all thought I was winding them up. They thought I knew all about it, had absolutely no idea, called me up on stage, and they gave me the BMF Ambassador of the Year, which was amazing, you know, phenomenal. BMF have supported me, you know, right through my whole journey, to be fair. You know, I've won a young merchant for them before. Now that I'm on the more supplier side, I might be tapping them up to see if I can get on the old young supplier of the year. But no,
you're still going in for the young awards, mate.
I'm still
When's
in there.
The cut-off?
People, I might just be about that. Might pass it now. But yeah, people still surprised at that. Even my boss the other day was laughing. I said to him, I don't qualify for the booster jab yet because I wasn't 40. And even he was astounded by that. I think I'm like Peter Pan of the merchant industry.
Well, mate, I mean, you know, it's I mean, from what I know, Bart, from the outside looking in, you know, you're a merchant boy first, and you're boy and man. You know, we went through that journey on the episode last summer, and a lot of it in the early stages resonated so much with me because I was a kid from the council estate. I did start my first job part-time at Travis Perkins in Fulham in the yard doing admin on the counter, and you know, ended up 9 3/4 years later at Travis Perkins, sales director designate, moved across to Juice and run London at 27, London sales director. You know, that was life-changing for me, and you know this, I have so much passion for the builders merchants industry. I have so much passion for what the industry offers, and you know I'm going to say this, we are still missing a trick with the next generation. Where are the stars of the future, and what do you think, Bart, we should as an industry, so I'm not talking for the federation, so I'm not, you know, I'm talking as an industry, as influencers and personalities in the industry, what could we be doing different?
I think, again, as I said, when you look around the industry right now and you see people, and there's loads of people that we know, both of us know together, there's loads of us that have actually made a massive career, been really successful from going in as a Saturday boy or girl, working hard and progressing up through the industry. But yeah, you're right. At the moment, it's not, when kids are sort of looking at their options, and they're not necessarily looking at the construction industry or the builders merchant industry to think, right, that's somewhere that I want to, you know, go and work. Some merchants are doing a cracking job at getting youth in and developing them. But I think overall, the industry are missing a trick there, and I think there's definitely work we can do. I think it's awareness, really. I think it's things like this, you know, sitting around telling a story, seeing how successful people have been, because there's so much of it. When you get exposed to it and you hear the stories of, you know, some of the top people in the industry and where they've come from, and they've started in the yards and they've done this, that, and the other. It's phenomenal. And
I was talking
much.
to Jack, the lad who works with us, and he's doing a degree apprenticeship with us, and we were talking about an MD, and I was going like, I remember him in the yard. He's going, what do you mean? I said, he used to work in the yard. Like, I was a rep. I remember him in the yard. And he was kind of like, but I said, but that's true. Like, there's no, that education and that ability to learn. And I know generations change and the world changes. And I think the biggest step change that the industry needs for me is to make itself more attractive and more exciting to the younger generation. Because I agree with you, Bart, the positions are there, the career pathway is there. You can join as a Kickstarter, you can join as an apprentice, you can join as a graduate, you can transfer in, you can transfer out. There's routes and pathways there. What I would love to break is the preconception that good is someone who's got 5 years experience, who's worked from a competitor and can start tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's not good.
No.
That's easy.
And a lot of people are sort of seeing that now. You used to want to just sort of go to the local competitor, nick their member of staff because they've got a few years experience. I think people are seeing more and more now that you can get really good talent in, you can pick up the product knowledge. I think when someone's good with customers and people want to deal with them, that beats product knowledge all day long. You can learn product knowledge. You can't learn how to have a personality and have that banter on the counter. You've either got that or you haven't, and that's the big key here. I'm an ambassador for the BMF, so I do try and get out there to sort of colleges and careers evenings and sort of fly the flag high. I think what they're doing is great. They've got ambassadors all over the country, and they do it. But there's thousands and hundreds of thousands of kids making those choices, and even no matter what we're doing, it's just a drop in the ocean really to what could be being done by the industry.
And I'll say this publicly again. I say it all the time. I'm here. I've got a voice, I've got a following, I've got a personality. I think that at the right time, you parachute me in or you get me involved in some way with what we're doing, we can disrupt things and we really can do it. But again, it's all about it working for all parties involved. Yeah. And I think sometimes that where you can be different and you can be challenging and you want to do it in a way which is how you are. It doesn't fit with everyone, and I understand that. But we've done some brilliant work with an apprenticeships company called DDAT recently, and they approached us because of our collaboration with the BIK-BBI, and they spoke to us about we've got 130 or 140 apprentices in play. They're in play with trade kitchen businesses. They're in play with merchants. They're there. We're struggling to manage them because we haven't got enough boots on the ground. We need someone in Manchester. We need someone in Yorkshire. We need someone in Croydon. Someone doing it in South London. They were looking for a trainer, but you didn't have to be a qualified trainer. They could give you that qualification. What they wanted, Bart, where the recruitment was so beautiful, is they wanted someone who can roll into an independent builder's merchant, get how it operates, get what the personalities and the people are like, and support that young learner with on-the-job coaching and development so they don't just get through their apprenticeship, they fly and they pass it. I probably would say this year, those 4 projects, and we've executed them all, have been some of the most enjoyable because they're positions that we wouldn't normally come to us. They're training and assessor roles, but we've been able to match the personality and almost vocational calling of these people with the right sectors and businesses. Yeah. And the feedback we've had has been phenomenal. And you sit back and you go, if one of those people is going to look after 40 learners, or say one of the people is going to look after 10, 20 learners, and they're going to make a difference, we're helping the industry.
100%.
And that's where I want to be. So I don't know where my voice sits and where I am. And I mean this with love. I've been supporting the industry now as a recruitment business for 18 years. I only spent 9 3/4 years in it. But I hear the challenges, I see the challenges, and if Peter Jones and Bart Murphy can stand up above the parapet and say, this is good, you should get involved, come and get involved, I think there's some passion and some energy there, mate.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
Something for us to talk about off air and see where it goes. But you got your award. You're humble about your award. You weren't expecting it. I'll be honest with you, I said at the time, it was 100% deserved. There's been some recent changes of leadership and things are going there. I think you should stay part of it. I genuinely think the industry needs voices like you. out there, and that'll be myself on it.
No, I'm very passionate about BMF and what they do, and just raising awareness for the whole industry. To be fair, so no, absolutely love that. So that's good.
No, it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant, and I think, Bart, that's a great start to the show, because that's where we were and how we got here. What we're going to do in the second half of this podcast is we're going to talk about what you're doing now, the story so far, and what to expect next year and beyond.
Life-changing recruitment for the KBB, builders merchant and construction industries, creative social content, specialist knowledge, world-leading video technology, helping you find career happiness and helping your business attract its stars of the future. We are Foyne Jones. This is what we do.
Okay, welcome back to episode 6 with Bart Murphy. Bart, we've reminisced about last summer, and the summer of the pandemic. We've reminisced about that. We are in the new normal. We've got into the new normal. We're getting our life back. Yes, we are dealing with a new variant. We are going to see some changes into our way of life slightly. I don't think it's going to affect us in any way like it did before. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about where you are now and, the story so far, because you moved on, you moved into a new position. I'm not going to articulate it for you. It's going to be all about you. So, Bart, what are you up to now? What is the story so far?
So, story so far, Peter. So, February this year, December last year, sort of took a leave out of the merchant industry after 20 years, sort of weighed up a few different options. And the one that really jumped out to me, the one that I was most excited about, there was a few to look at, but HSS sort of approached me and talked to me about sort of really pushing on their partnership and their merchant offering and moving that along to the next level. So John Overman is the MD, reached out to me at Christmas. We had some conversations, and then I joined HSS in February. Basically, HSS had started to put mini HSS pop-ups within builders merchants, which I know and love. I'd done one myself with them at Moran's down in South London. So just got to know the HSS team, got to work closely with them, see what they're all about. You know me, Peter, I'm a people person. Really, really warm to the team. They thought cracking bunch of guys and girls. And then when they approached me to sort of take the project on and move it along, I was completely flattered, but absolutely something I absolutely loved. Still getting to work with the merchants, but on a much bigger national scale, every day in different merchants all over the country, getting a nose around everyone's yards
that's
and
so
warehouse.
True though, Bart, because there was a passage of play, I don't know when it was, but I'd go like sort of maybe late June, July, around that time, that everywhere I went, you'd just been or you were coming the next day. So, you're talking and I'm like, I was there last week. I'm like, you joking? I'm like, what? This is spooky. Do you remember that? It was almost over 3 or 4
all
week
over the
period.
country, yeah. Well, I think the thing is, what we're doing is it's got massive national coverage. So I do all of England and Wales. We started in February with 24 sort of mini HS stores within the merchant stores, and their aim was to sort of get that number up to 50. And literally, we hit the ground running. Obviously, I've got a lot of contacts in the industry. There was a cracking pipeline already in place, but, just starting to talk to people that I know in the industry, start to think things a bit differently, do things a bit differently within HSS. And basically, we're at the point now, we've added 30 more locations right through the whole of England. We're up in Liverpool and York. We've got loads down on here on the south coast. We've got one here in Brighton.
I know about that, man, because I'm going to share this with the listeners because I just think it was so surreal. You sent me a picture of you and an ice cream on the beach when you were down here in the summer.
Yeah.
I said, you keep driving, you come to my house. It's only 10 minutes
keep
along
the coast. You've got to make the most of it. When you come down to Brighton, you need to fit in your fish and chips or your ice cream on the beach. The weather's a bit colder today.
There's none of that. There's no chance of that today, mate. After your journey down there, you'd be straight back up the M23, wouldn't you?
When I heard Scott's podcast with you a few weeks ago, I was quite jealous that he actually came down the night before, had a few beers and a burger, and there's me stuck on the M23 this morning. I should have done it his way around.
Yeah, he's living the dream though, mate, isn't he? He's not in merchanting or recruitment, mate. He's in digital and virtual tours. So, that's how they roll.
Yeah. I mean, he's probably like me. He's getting all over the country. I heard he was in Edinburgh. He's getting all around the place. So
he's in Epsom at the moment.
Epsom, is he?
He's recording in Epsom as we speak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're getting all over the country as well. So we've done, as I said, we've added 30 stores this year. So we're up to 54 now. Last one we've done is Bristol. And we've got a nice, big, exciting pipeline ahead to move it on further.
And just for the benefit of our connections and listeners that may be living under a stone and haven't seen this, because it's very well marketed and very well publicised. What you're actually offering, it's almost an implant tool hire facility in an established merchant.
Yeah.
So the merchant has the stock, they have their customers, they've got their footfall, they've got their heavy side, light side, timber, all the product groups. What you're actually offering is, you're going in, you're going to badge up a tool hire, fully functioning with the team. Drops in there,
everything.
Away they go.
Yeah, 100%. The whole thing drops in. We've got a mix. We've got people that have never ever touched tool hire, and want to have that offering in there to sort of offer it to their customers. We've got people that have tried it themselves and it hasn't worked, or it's maybe too much headache. Merchants are busy environments. They've got other things to sort of focus on. So if they can get someone else to look after the hire, that's worked really well as well. So a few locations we're in, we've sort of taken over their hire, but mostly we're sort of putting that whole module in. We're putting all the stock in, the kit, the point of sale, the colleague in place. Then we're getting them supported by a cracking team of regional salespeople, and it's doing phenomenal. It's doing really, really well. We're really pleased with how it's done. And as you said, we've reached all different parts of the country. Like you, I'm a London boy, born and bred. So working at a London merchant for 20 years, my geography of England wasn't great. I didn't get around too much. But in this role, I have literally been all over the country. I must have been to every city and town, length and breadth of the country.
I sounds lucky. I sounds blessed. I might be cursed, but following Fulham from the old Fourth Division to the Premier League and back down again into Europe, I've been to so many far-flung places on this country to watch Fulham lose, maybe win, turn up. Sometimes, Bart, and I'm ashamed to say this, sometimes I've had so much to drink on the train up, I don't even make the game. Like the pub's nice and warm. The pub's nice and warm. It's raining outside. We just stay here and we'll watch it on the phone. But those days were in my younger days. But not so much now.
It does take its toll.
Not so much now. But I had a terrible trip to Coventry earlier this year, and there's no disrespect to the good people of Coventry, but Fulham were flying high, so I thought I'll go to the Wake, I'll go Coventry. Funny enough, never seen us play Coventry. It's like the way I seamlessly got Fulham in. It's amazing, isn't it? It's a gift, Charlie.
Dropped it back in. He's used to that.
So I've been 122 football grounds, or 26 I think it is, across the world. Never seen Fulham play Coventry. We just paths never crossed. We go up there. We've won about 5 games on the spin. We're 1-0 up. It's half time. It's like friends reunited down in the bar at half time. There's people I haven't seen since school, since whenever. So we're having a beer. By the time I'd sat back down, Bart, Fulham were 3-1 down. I sat back down to see the fourth go in, and I just thought, how's this even happened? But that's it. But
that's football, isn't it?
But it is football. But the geography, the miles you're putting in, the shift you're putting in, setting up these new depots or the new implants and new branches, the estate grows, doesn't it? The estate grows, and where's the pressure point to get it over the line? Is it with the MD? Is it with the operational teams? Where because you're going to have, and I think this is important, you're going to have the credibility. When you're knocking on the door, you have the credibility. They're going to listen. They're going to want to talk. How does that work? That whole process.
I think it was obviously harder in the earlier days because there was a smaller group of merchants on board. Yeah. It wasn't that well publicised what we were doing. I think as we've sort of moved it along and we've got some big names backing it now, we've got a lot of big merchants that have sort of invested in it and put time and effort into it. That's actually made things a little bit easier because you've actually had times where back end of the year I've got people ringing me wanting it in their merchants rather than me sort of hounding people. And LinkedIn, I've just messaged people on LinkedIn, just using that platform as you do so well. Just really going back to basics, going back to my contacts, my networking events and stuff, my little black book, working it that way. We've had some real success there, but we've managed to bag a few big name merchants in there, and then that sort of helped the whole thing to build up momentum. We've gone from a point of when I joined doing sort of one merchant store every sort of 2 or 3 weeks to then through the whole summer we were doing 2 a week, all through May, June, July, August.
And how do you deal? Because this is important, I think, to all listeners at whatever level, right? You're going to have SDRs listen to this, business developers listen to this, and what I think's amazing, Bart, is you've just gone through lots of different disciplines which create opportunity, create meetings, create a relationship. You haven't used words like algorithm. You haven't used words like plan, marketing, and campaign. It's old school what you're doing. It's pressing flesh. It's hearts and minds. It's people are buying into you first, and you're going from there. How do you deal with a pushback when it's like no means no?
Yeah, I think.
Do you keep going? Do you keep fighting, or when do you moonwalk off and go? Perhaps it ain't the right time.
Yeah, I think that I think there's lots of things. I think there's been situations where there's been different versions of what I'm trying to deliver now happened over previous years that haven't been as successful. So that sometimes leaves a bit of a bitter taste in people's mouths, and they're a bit reluctant to want to do it. I don't take no well very easily, but I think in any sort of sales role, I think to be good at sales, you have to be able to take that sort of rejection. You have to know when you focus your energy and when's a good time to move on. But generally, I think it's an education piece. It's just sort of winning hearts and minds. It's getting people to understand what you're trying to do. Ultimately, we're there to improve their customer experience, give them an extra service. They can earn some money out of it along the way. They get increased footfall. There's customers that are then buying their products. It's a win-win. It's quite an easy sell, to be fair. Like, it isn't. I'm not tasked with this real difficult sales piece, really.
No, I remember in my London sales conference days when I had my juice and hat on, and this shows how long ago it was. The last one we did, Charlie, was in a football stadium called Highbury. Yeah? All right, so it was at Highbury. So we did the London conference there, and I remember we had the guy that was running Tall Light. He's a great guy. We had him. He's doing a section, and he bought a couple of pieces of kit. I mean, there was a mixer, there was something that drilled and something that smashed things up. They were there, and he was saying, and he had a big suitcase of fake pound notes. Right, they weren't real pound notes. It was fake pound notes, and he was just really flowing through some slides of lots of lorry loads of cement and lots of lorry load of bricks, and he was saying, look at the money, look at the profit margin in this hire against what you're doing there. And it was almost one of the eureka moments when I could see 4 or 5 of the sales, I'm not going to say all of them because I don't think we were that good, but you could see some of the account managers, some of the sales team opening up their eyes to the possibility of introducing Tool Hire to a punter you're already dealing with.
Yeah.
He's already coming in. He's already talking to you. You've got your audience. And that's where I think concessions have been born from, because you're not a pioneer of concessions with plant hire. It's all over the world. It's in your retail store, it's in your food store, it's in your clothes store. And there's got to be mileage in it.
I think that's the next big thing. I mean, I think we hire because people know HSS and people are going into those merchants are doing it anyway. I think you're exactly right there. The next big phase for us, we've got 30 new stores out there. They're all doing well. They've sort of hit that initial traction of footfall in the stores, but the next big piece will then be to really tap into those merchants' customer bases, those they're big players of those stores, and really get them understanding that they can get the hire from there and changing that piece. So we've done a bit about getting the store open, starting to build up some footfall in the stores. The next piece will be to really, really tap into that sort of merchant key account business as well.
I still get so passionate about it because I feel it, and I still, if I walk into a trading branch and there's no buzz or people are not making eye contact, it makes me sad.
Yeah.
But it's the same in any environment, because it's and my son, who's a couple of floors upstairs, when we were on our 36-mile round trip to drop his brother back to North Yorkshire at the weekend, we there was a girl in a hotel and she was so helpful and positive. He was like, people sometimes look down at staff behind the jump on a reception. He goes like, if you can turn up for work and do it with 110% effort and smile, he said, that's magnificent. And I went like, you've been brought up well. Fair play to you, Mum. But it was so poignant, because then you kind of take it away. And I was saying this to my team in the recruitment side of it, is that everything we do, it can change someone's life. So how are you making them feel? How do they feel after they've met you, spoke to you, had an email from you, interacted with you?
Yeah,
that's so important, isn't it?
It is, definitely. I think I'm brought up in the same way as your son, Peter. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter who I'm talking to. I'm talking to the guy on the gate letting me into park, or the security guard. anyone, I treat everyone the same, whether it's the MD or the guy on the counter. So I am a personable guy. You know, I love relationships. I love people. So it is just about treating everyone
I get
the way.
the train here, mate. So my journey's a lot less than yours, right? Okay, so it's Brighton, so I don't drive. I get the train. It's a couple of stops. But do you know what? I say thank you to the conductor when they come and like check my ticket. I don't moan that they're checking my ticket because I should have one. And then when I get off, they're often hanging around the last door. So I say thank you. People look at me like I'm really strange. I'm like, well,
it's just sort of
maybe
basic.
no one else says it to them, but they really smile. And I'm thinking, like, if me just saying thanks on the way off this train has made your next couple of stops a bit better. But
I think it's not just how you behave, but it's how everyone else. I mean, we don't have an indefinite amount of. I can't open we're going to open 300 of these. You know, we want select merchants. We've got some places where we've got 3 or 4 partners, and we can only do one store in that town. You know, so we're actually also looking to see what the teams are like at those locations, how well we'll fit in with them.
Almost like a pre-qualifying.
Yeah, it works both ways. So as much as it's like a job interview, as much as you're interviewing the candidate's interviewing you. Is that the company I want to work for? So it is a two-way relationship. They're sort of sussing out whether or not HSS is the right partner for them. We're sussing out whether their locations and stores. But to be honest with you, I love the merchants, and all I've got to do for 9 months is just spend days in and out of merchants all over the country. Seeing how some people really traditional, then you've got some really modern stuff that's happening.
I'll tell you another little story about HSS. I remember going back, I'm going to say 9 or 10 years ago, I was invited up to Trafford Park.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting in reception at Trafford Park, and they had the old photos, like the old black and white photos.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at one, I'm going, I know that. I know that. And I think it was one of their first stores on Fulham Road.
Yeah.
Like, so I grew up in Lancaster Court Estate on 570 Fulham Road, and there's like 625 Fulham Road. It was one of the first stores. I was like, wow, like how surreal is that?
It's amazing for me as well, because same as that, when I went to school, I mean, where I used to get the bus home every day, there was a HSS on the corner, so it was iconic that everyone knew that was there, and that's what I've absolutely loved about joining HSS. You know, I've gone from the small independent now to the big national PLC. Everyone knows who they are, and I've absolutely loved that transition up, working at a sort of bigger level with a huge group of people. But everyone I've come across, everyone I've worked with, generally have been phenomenal.
I mean, from the outside looking in, you've ripped it up with what you've done at the BMF in the under 21 category. How are you still in that bar? I don't know, but I don't know. Maybe you was in it at the start and you can still play till the tournament's over. That's how it works in under 21 football. But you ripped it up there. You had a great career at Moran's, and now what you're doing at HSS, it is getting noticed. It's been brilliant to get you on this episode. Let's just take a step out of HSS just for a couple of minutes and just, Bart, think about what we, i.e. you, what you see happening trend-wise in the industry. 2022, quarter 1, quarter 2, and as we travel this time next year, where do you think we'll be?
I think it's a really tough one. It's a changing landscape. I think people are working differently. People are behaving differently. I think that that move back to the office, whether or not that's going to happen. I think when we first jumped on last summer, sort of Teams was sort of really kicking off. Now it's the new normal. If you're not on a Teams or video call every day, something's gone wrong. So it is sort of capturing how people are going to work differently. And I think as well, in those traditional merchant stores or just in life in general, I think businesses have to think differently about consumers. My wife's we're away for Christmas, but she's doing all the Christmas shopping. I guarantee my wife will not step into one shop. Right, every single thing will be done and delivered to the door and a package. She's got 4 kids, to look after. There will not be a shop, and it's just sort of capturing those habits, capturing how people do things. Everyone's busy, life's busy, and it is just thinking about how to do things differently. And I think the ones that jump on that quickly will be the ones that are really successful.
Does Mrs. Murphy have a lot of preloaded shopping bags in different sites?
Yeah, it annoys me because I think, why haven't you checked out? Have you ordered this yet? And she's got all these different sort of checkout things waiting to be checked out. And, it is in our house, there's always something on your Amazon.
Obviously, we're recording this, and we're just coming out of Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and the month of black sales and whatever. And I was always looking at, what about this? This is in the box. That's in the box. I'm like, we're going to buy. I'm like, whoa, we can. But I think that's kind of the world we're in, and that is the new normal. You mentioned video technology. I mean, it was a godsend to me because we were pioneering video technology. So with the world waking up to it, that made our approach much more pliable with people. They were much more, that could work. So you're actually going to talk to these people when they're not at work. You're going to pre-qualify and interview them for their suitability for this role. You're not just going to send me a piece of paper, Peter. No, you're going to send me them being interviewed by you, talking about what they can do in the role. Yeah. And I've only got to log on. I've only got to see the ones I like the most. Boom.
Yeah, it's a massive cultural change.
That was a game changer for us. And we will face some uncertain times, Bart, but I think that together we're stronger, and with the right leadership, I think the industry will be okay next year, don't you?
It will be, definitely. There's loads of big projects happening. There's loads going on. It's a cracking industry to be part of. But as you said, it's moving it forward, and doing things differently.
But listen, it's been really good to get you back on the episode. We're going to finish off with a few things. So I did say thank you, and I'm embarrassed to say you missed out on starring in the Lockdown Diaries, okay? So there's one for Daddy and there's one to take home. These are statement pieces. I want to see them cheekily featuring in the Murphy kitchen. There's 2 personal copies, which I will just sign now. Probably could turn up, Charlie, on the Antiques Roadshow in a few years.
We'll get
when they're filming in Ruislip,
We'll get a little product placement there for the next video.
There you go.
Peter.
There's 2 copies of Lockdown Diaries for you, sir.
Thanks very much, mate.
As a closing message, I think what I'd like to say, Bart, is you are, I believe, one of the good guys of the industry, and I mean that. Not because you're sitting in front of me. I say it about you when you're not here. I think you do things right. You do it for personality. You influence the right sectors, the right organisations, and the right federations. So, if anyone listening to this wants to know more about the BMF, you're an ambassador. They can talk to you.
Yeah.
I think if there's a young boy or girl, an old boy or girl, someone who's thinking about moving into tool hire, plant hire, builders merchanting, and they might not want to talk to a recruiter because some people don't. They want to talk to someone else. I'm big enough to say they could reach out to you, couldn't they, Bart?
100%, yeah. I mean, even within the industry or within HSS, there's so many opportunities. We can support people. If it's just career advice, I said we do it massively for the industry, but if there's an individual that wants to reach out, I always had massive respect for the guy or girl who rocked up to your shop and handed a CV on a Saturday. That physically doesn't happen anymore, but through a digital world, through reaching out on LinkedIn or a phone call or an email, by all means, I'd welcome it with open arms.
I work in the recruitment business. That's my day job. Yes, we're doing some amazing... I mean, we've ripped it up with Jones Digital, to be fair. But if you look at recruitment, we are in a world of applications, CVs. And do you know what you do most of, Bart? You manage disappointment. Yeah? Because you've never got enough jobs for everyone.
No.
Not everyone's going to get an interview. Not everyone's going to get offered a job. And you're managing disappointment on almost a daily basis. When someone stands out from that crowd by an approach, by creativity, by wanting something so much you can feel it in them, they're the ones you want to go work for.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think you've had that in your career. I've had that in my career. That's what's made this a brilliant episode. But from my perspective, thanks so much for joining me today. I think we've just got to go back to the Murphy clan. So we've got to say bye to them all individually. Let's go through them all again.
Wave, Right, Florence,
goodbye.
Bye. Dominic, see you later. Matilda, Tilly, and Isabella.
And that is 4 new listeners to the show, Charlie. We will not let them get their Christmas presents, dare I say, if they don't listen to all the episodes. But it's been really good to get you on board. That was the Foyne Jones Show. We're going back to business. And I think in next episode, one of your friends is coming in here. He's going to be sitting in that chair. We've got another young merchant and someone who's supporting the industry, Jamie Pearce from Agency 53. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next episode. But I hope your journey home is better than your journey down.
It will be. Thanks, Peter.
Thanks for listening. That's the end of the podcast. Next episode, I'm joined by Jamie Pearce of Agency 53.